Hi, I'm Cole Costello, and this is North Marion Athletics. Hello and welcome to the 6th week of the North Marion Athletics Update. As you can see by our surroundings, we are finally into the heart of the spring sports season, and coinciding with that comes some great weather. However, the weather that was on display for the ending of the week did not represent what the weather was like for most of the week. Let's hand it over to Wyatt Moore for the schedule changes that we saw in this last week.
Thanks, Cole. Monday, the familiar rain kept up, forcing the softball game at home versus Madras to be postponed to Tuesday. The weather held up enough on Tuesday and Wednesday to get all of our sporting events in. Thursday was different as everything but golf was postponed. That includes boys and girls tennis versus Philomath, softball at Malala, and baseball versus Gladstone. And lastly, Friday's girls tennis match at LaSalle was postponed. Now here's Cole with this week's action.
Thanks, Wyatt. To start things off, we head over to track and field. They had 2 meets this week. One, the 3-team meet in Malala, and the exciting 2-day Oregon relays down in Eugene at Hayward Field. We're going to call up Shane Whitehead for those right now. Hey Shane, how you doing today?
Doing great, Cole. Thanks.
Let's start off talking about the 3-team meet and Malala. What Huskies did good, and were there any highlights from that?
On the boys' side, Jaden Davis placed first in the 100 meters, narrowly beating Ethan Hyatt by 4 100ths of a second, who also placed second in the 100. Jaden also placed first in the 200 meters. Jose Bravo came in second in both his events, the 110-meter hurdles and the 300 hurdles. The 4x100 relay team, composed of Jaden Davis, Zach Packham, Jeremy Parkinson, and Hayden Pyatt, came in second place. For the throwers, Tanner Shrink placed first in the shot put, and he also placed second in the discus. Zach Packham took second in javelin. For the jumpers, Jeremy Parkinson took first in high jump and first in triple jump. Ruben Vargas took second in long jump. On the girls' side, Hannah Schweigert placed second in the 100 meters and also in the 200 meters. Megan Crumley took second in shot put and first in discus and also first in javelin. Marissa Jones took first in triple jump. Those were just our first and second placers from the 3-way conference meet. But for some other great performances, see the full results at athletic.net.
Wow, Shane, sounds like a great conference meet. We understand that the team headed down to historic Hayward Field at the University of Oregon for Friday and Saturday. With professional and collegiate athletes in attendance, did it have a very different feel than most other meets?
Hayward Field is considered one of the best tracks in the entire world. And not only is it the setting for this year's state track tournament, it is also hosting the Olympic trials for the U.S. track team. Competing in Tracktown, USA for 2 days, it was easily one of the largest meets the Huskies will attend this year. The competition spanned from 1A to 6A, and the farthest competitors came all the way from Alaska. There was also a collegiate meet taking place, and the Oregon Track Club was also competing at this meet.
It sounds like a great atmosphere. Now as for the competition, what took place in terms of that category?
Well, Cole, Christian Parr, Jose Bravo, Jeremy Parkinson, Jose Villa, Hannah Schweigert, and Marissa Jones all placed in the top 3 for their heat. Overall, Jeremy Parkinson took 4th in the triple jump. Jose Villa again took first in the 100 and 200 meter wheelchair. And Hannah Schweigert took 7th overall in the freshman 100.
We understand that this was a gigantic tournament. How did the team do in the midst of all these other schools in attendance?
The Huskies track team took 23rd out of 46 teams, splitting down the middle exactly. This is an exciting result with some of the big competition that was there, including the likes of Jesuit, Central Catholic, and Aloha.
Thanks, Shane. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks, Cole. I look forward to seeing you in the studio next week.
And now here's Logan Beiser with golf.
Thanks, Cole. There were 3 golf meets this week. 2 being guys and 1 being girls. Starting off on Monday, the Huskies headed to a tournament in Eastmoreland Golf Course hosted by LaSalle. Freshman Derek Jones gave us the best score we've seen, shooting a 90. Caden Christensen and Ben Crumley both posted scores under 100, shooting 94 and 97. Rounding off the lineup was Joey Henry with a 103 and Nathan Jones with a 118. The boys then went to Arrowhead to play in the rain on Thursday. Sophomore Ben Crumley then re-broke the bench score, shooting an 85. Congratulations to Ben for the great score. Following behind Ben were the Jones brothers, Nathan shooting a 96 and Derek shooting a 98. Joey Henry and Caden Christensen came down the wire, shooting a 99 and a 107. Now on to the girls golf segment. Brianna, who had a struggling week last week, looked to try to improve her week this week. Unfortunately, it was not a favorable meet for her, as she shot a 115, but she looks to improve next week, as you'll hear more about in more upcoming events. Now on to Wyatt with tennis.
Thanks, Logan. Start off the week with 5 scheduled matches. The girls head down to Blanchette on Monday to play the Cavaliers. The team came away with a 5-3 win, with nearly every single win coming in blowout fashion. 8 out of the 10 played were 6-0, 6-1, or 6-2. Continuing a very busy week, on Tuesday, the girls played Molalla here at North Marion, but it got canceled halfway through due to rain. Then on Wednesday came a long trip to Madras. After a 3-hour bus ride, Madras came out with a 5-3 win. The home court advantage in Madras is a large help, as it is hard to come out and play after traveling such a distance. For the boys' side, on Monday against Blanchette, the team blew out the Cavaliers 6-2. Surprisingly, Blanchette has been having a strong season compared to the past few seasons when they have been towards the bottom of the league. In the number 1 doubles spot, Nathan Summers and Sawyer Dady dominated nearly the entire match, restaking their claim as one of the top duos in the league and state. To come Tuesday, the team went back down to Turner to play the Cougars again. Since the match had technically started the first time down, the lineups had to stay the same, and that forced Huskies to forfeit the number 1 singles starting off 0-1. The team needed a strong run. They swept the doubles and got a clutch comeback win by Charlie Chaw in the number 4 singles to pull out a 5-3 win. A win here kept the Huskies undefeated in league play. As Wednesday came around, Madras made the trip to North Marion only to be beaten 6-2 by the Huskies, who continue to have an undefeated league season. A lossless week puts the Huskies at the top of the league, tied with powerhouse LaSalle for number 1. And now here's Cole for softball.
Thanks, Wyatt. Now we're going to move on to softball. Coming off an extremely busy 5-game week last week, the softball club sort of slowed down this week in terms of games. However, they did not slow down on the field at all. They were competitive all week. North Marion and Madras volleyed the lead 5 times on Wednesday, but the Huskies came out on top for a 3-2 win at NMHS. Kylie Gonzalez got a hit in each of her 2 at-bats, singling in both the first and 5th innings. Courtney Lee was once again on the mound for North Marion, and she recorded the win. She allowed just 2 Madras runs over the full 7 innings. The Huskies pitcher struck out 3 and walked none. North Marion jumped out to an early 1-0 lead at the bottom of the first. Brandy Bowling kicked things off for the Huskies with a single. A single by Michaela Mewson then moved Bowling from first to second. Lee came up big in the inning when she singled, bringing home Brandy Bowling for the first run of the game. Both teams picked up a run in the 4th inning. North Marion's run came when Wampel grounded out to the pitcher while Lauren Hahn streaked home to score. Madras reported 1 run in the 5th to tie the game, but the Huskies picked up a run in the 6th to come away victorious. Despite the Buffs' 14 hits, the Huskies had things going for them, and their 8 hits were enough to get the job done. Then on Friday, the Huskies took a trip to Molalla to face off against the Indians, whom they had lost to earlier in the league season. This time, errors were doing in North Marion. And upwards of 9 field errors did in the Huskies as they lost 3-1 to the Indians for the 2nd time. The Huskies look to rebound from that as they have a busy slate of events in the coming week. And now here's Josh Hauser with baseball.
Thanks, Cole. On a rainy Tuesday in Gladstone, North Marion allowed the Gladiators to get off to a hot start as they picked up 3 runs in the opening inning. However, the Huskies worked their way back into things, chipping off runs here and there to pull even. In the all-important 8th inning, North Marion was at its best as the Huskies plated 3 runs off of 4 hits and 1 Gladiator error. It was about time for a close game to fall in the Huskies' favor, and this time it finally did. Junior Wyatt Moore was on the mound for the Huskies, and he had some trouble in the early goings. In the bottom of the first, the Gladiators struck for 4 hits, counting up 3 runs to take the commanding 3-0 lead. However, Moore got the kinks worked out and did not allow a single hit through the next 3 innings. The top of the 5th is when most of the damage was done for the Huskies. Trailing 3-1, Zach Williamson belted a ball to deep right field, scoring Brock Brashears from second and pulling the game within a single run. On the heels of Zach's double, Hopper grounded out to short, but that scored Kyle Williamson. The final run of the inning came when Tristan Wample singled up the middle to score Zach. The 3-run, 3-hit inning propelled North Marion to the 4-3 lead over Gladstone. Into extras, Brandon Royal came up big as he singled up the middle, and freshman pinch runner Emery Patterson used his speed to slide home safely, giving North Marion a 5-4 advantage. Nat Burrell picked up his second hit of the day, which scored Royal, and back-to-back walks allowed Burrell to walk home safely, giving North Marion the 7-4 lead, and a lead which would stick. Wyatt's performance on the mound was not necessarily flashy, but it was more of the consistent effort that the coaches are looking for. Wyatt allowed 4 earned runs off of 9 base hits, while striking out 6 batters. Moore used 124 pitches to get through the 8 innings, marking his second extra inning performance in just as many games. He improves to 2-1 after the win, with both of his decisions coming in complete games. On to Friday, the Huskies then hosted Gladstone. The Gladiators' starting pitcher only allowed North Marion to get 2 base runners in the whole entire first 6 innings. However, the Huskies' offense awakened in the bottom of the 7th when they mounted an inspired comeback. In the last-ditch effort, the Huskies used hits, walks, and whatever way possible to get on base. Zach Williamson got the snowball rolling when he legged out an infield single on a well-hit ball to first base. Brendan Hopper followed up with a single to center field, and that was enough evidence for Coach Webster of Gladstone to pull the plug on his starting pitcher's mostly successful day. Wyatt Moore came up in an all-important, no-outs, bases-loaded situation for the Huskies, and he delivered with an RBI single to right center field. The bases remained loaded and the outs remained at 0 for Spencer Beachy. A wild pitch by Gladstone resulted in 1 base advancement for all the runners and the 2-run game at 4-2. Beachy productively grounded out as Wample scored easily on the ball hit to second base. With Moore representing the tying run at third, both Danny Robles and Nat Burrell took turns at knocking Wyatt home. Nonetheless, Wyatt was still standing at third as the lights on the scoreboard shut off, representing a very disappointing loss. Although the game was extremely frustrating for those sporting the green, the 7th inning near comeback showed the true fight that this team has. Even though this is not the club who is going to cruise to easy victories over tough opponents, the effort and potential is always going to be there, and that much we can say is more important than pure talent. The Huskies have a 3-game Tri-Valley Conference slate this week, as you will hear more about in more upcoming events. Now it's time for our North Marion Athletics FBLA High Flying Performer.
Let's go.
This week was a great week in North Marion Athletics, and coinciding with that, we have an FBLA high-flying performer from each of our 5 spring sports. For our tennis team, Sawyer Dady and Nathan Summers were dominant in their 3 matches. Through the week, they blew out all 3 of their opponents in the doubles #1 spot. Moving on to baseball, Wyatt Moore was the high-flying performer. He threw a complete game win against Gladstone on Tuesday and had a clutch base hit to lead the comeback on Friday. For our track team, Jeremy Parkinson got first in the triple jump out of 46 schools at the Oregon Relays. He had other placings at the Oregon Relays also, but he also got first in his events in the 3-way conference meet earlier in the week. For our golf team, Ben Crumley shot an 85 at Arrowhead this past Thursday, which is the lowest score of the year for the entire golf team. Courtney Lee is the high-flying performer for our softball team. Not only did Courtney do solid in her pitching this week, she was one of the Huskies who had a multi-hit performance in the Madras game. Congratulations to Sawyer, Nathan, Wyatt, Courtney, Jeremy, and Ben for being our high-flying performers. Now here's Cole with our trivia question.
This week's trivia question is, what is the last year that both baseball and softball made the state playoffs in the same season? We'll get you the answer next week and a new question also. Now it's time for our play of the week. This week's play comes courtesy of Jose Villa in the Oregon Relays. Jose used his dominant speed to take first place in both the 100-meter wheelchair and the 200-meter wheelchair. He blew away his nearest competitors, nearly halving their times. Congratulations to Jose, and let's take a look at the rest of the race now. This week, NM Athletics sat down with 4A Athletic Director of the Year, Mr. Andy Jones. Let's show you a few excerpts from this conversation with Mr. Jones.
You were recently chosen as the 4A Athletic Director of the Year. To what success can you attribute that to?
Well, I think anytime that an award is given out, one of the things that you have to look at is, you know, all of the things that are behind that, because no one individual can truly run an effective athletic department. I think one of the things that is so good about the community that we have here is that there's a lot of people that are willing to step up and help. Is my first year here, being able to go down to Gill Coliseum and watch our kids play, and also watching all of our students go down and supporting them, and watching that school spirit build as that season went on. And that was a pretty exciting first year. And I think the other things, you know, is, you know, the wrestlers up at the state tournament, watching Jake and Tyler Stiegel both winning state championships. They're, you know, in the same year, which I believe was about 20 years after their dad had won a state championship. Watching Lucas win, you know, 2 state championships, and now it's 3, and Jake winning his second also. And also, you know, being part of a school and having a real rich tradition. You know, our cheerleaders have won their 6th state championship, and that's a pretty amazing feat for them. I mean, those things you just can't replace. It's very enjoyable and satisfying when you watch your kids be that successful.
You can watch the whole video by clicking the link on your screen now. And now here's Wyatt with more upcoming events.
Hello, I'm Wyatt Moore, and this is more upcoming events. This week we have a busy schedule of events once again. The golf teams have some action this week. Starting off on Monday, Brianna Martinez heads to Canita for a tournament hosted by Madras beginning at 2. Then on Thursday she heads over to Arrowhead Golf Course for the Malala Invite. On Tuesday the boys head over to Canita also. That match is at noon. And as we go to tennis, both boys and girls have their rescheduled match against the Warriors. The girls will stay home and the guys will have to travel to Philomath. Those will be played on Monday. Then on Tuesday, the Rangers come into town as the girls will be home again and the boys will have to go to Estacada. Ugh! On the Wednesday, only the girls have a match with the Falcons at LaSalle. Again on Thursday, the girls have to play LaSalle, but this time at home, and the boys will go to the Falcons' home courts. Then on Saturday, the girls make the long trip over to Woodburn, and the Bulldogs will come here for a match with the boys team. Moving on to softball, they don't have a game on Monday, but then LaSalle will come here for a game with the Huskies. Then they skip a day again, so on Thursday they travel to play the Gladiators of Gladstone. And then on Thursday, the Rangers pay a visit to Andy Anderson Field with a matchup with the Huskies. Last but not least, we have baseball, having a 3-game week this week. They play Estacada on Monday at home, and then they travel on Wednesday. Then they have to travel again, but this time to Madras for a matchup with the White Buffalo. That's it for more upcoming events, and don't forget to go to Jamba Juice at the Woodburn Outlet Mall so you can show your student body card and get 20% off your price. Back to you, Cole.
Thanks, Wyatt. And that just about finishes another great week in NM Athletics. Of course, we'd like to thank Young Life for their sponsorship, and be sure to go to the Hub in Hubbard for every Monday night club. Also be sure to visit our website at www.nmathletics.webs.com where you can sign up for our weekly newsletter. That's it for this week. I'm Cole Costello. See you next time.